It's the bands that owned 1975. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Book. If this video does well, we'll do more acts from 1975. And keep in mind, this is for the US. If you'd like your country featured, just let us know. And before we get started, remember, subscribe to our channel, share our videos on social media, and comment and like the videos. Number 10, ABBA, a Swedish group formed in 1972, known for their catchy songs and Eurovision victory. In 1975, the big hits were S.O.S, I Do, I Do, I Do, I Do, and the ABBA self-titled album. The band members, well, they've always been the same. Agneta Faltskog, Bjorn Ulvaeus, Benny Andersson, and Anna Frid Lyngstad. Leading up to 1975, some of their hits included Ring Ring in 72, followed by Waterloo the following year, and Honey Honey. Number 9, Fleetwood Mac. They were a British rock band formed in 1967. Originally, they were a blues band led by Peter Green. After many personnel changes through the years, by 75, Lindsey Buckingham was their singer and lead guitarist, and his then-girlfriend Stevie Nicks also came in as a singer. Their hits that year, Rhiannon and Over My Head. The album was the self-titled Fleetwood Mac album. The members of the classic lineup, Mick Fleetwood on drums, John McVie on bass, Christine McVie on piano and vocals, Stevie Nicks on vocals, and Lindsey Buckingham, as mentioned, lead guitar and a vocalist. Christine McVie passed away in 2022. The band's hits started in 1968 with Black Magic Woman, followed by Need Your Love So Bad. Albatross was the #1 song in the UK, and the hits kept on coming. Man of the World, number 2 on the charts. Oh Well also hit number 2, and that's when they were a blues band. Number 8, John Denver. He was an American singer-songwriter and environmentalist, known for his country and folk pop combinations. Hits in 75, Thank God I'm a Country Boy and I'm Sorry. The album was Wind Song. He started in the late 60s and passed away in 1997. Leading up to 1975, well, first of all, he had his first hit in 71, Take Me Home Country Roads. By 73, he hit the charts with Sunshine on My Shoulder. Then a song about his then wife, Annie's Song. That was 1974, Back Home Again reached #1 that year, and he had another hit with Sweet Surrender. In 75, as mentioned, Thank God I'm a Country Boy and I'm Sorry both hit #1 on the charts, and his last hit of the year was Fly Away with Olivia Newton-John. Number 7, Elvis Presley. Of course, the king of rock and roll. American singer and actor widely regarded as one of the most significant and cultural icons of the 20th century. His hits in 75, Trouble and Bringing It Back. The album was Promised Land. His start was in the 1950s, and he passed away in 1977. Now, obviously, leading up to 1975, we'd be talking for a few minutes if we mentioned all his hits. There were many. But let's talk about the #1s. Heartbreak Hotel, I Want You, I Need You, I Love You, Don't Be Cruel, Love Me Tender, All Shook Up, Teddy Bear. Of course, there was Jailhouse Rock, Hard-Headed Woman, and A Big Hunk of Love. And by the way, that's just the 1950s. In the 1960s, there was Stuck on You, It's Now or Never, Are You Lonesome Tonight, Surrender, and his last one of the 60s, Suspicious Minds. In the 70s, he never had a #1 hit, but he did reach #2 with Burnin' Love. That was 1972. Number 6, the Bee Gees. And remember, this was 75, so this was before Saturday Night Fever. They were a British-Australian group formed in 1958, known for their harmonious vocals and disco hits in the 1970s. Hits in 75, Nights on Broadway and Jive Talkin'. And the album was Main Course. The members, Barry, Robin, and Morris Gibb. They started in 1958. Robin Gibb passed away in 2012, and Morris in 2003. Like Elvis, they had a lot of hits before the 1970s. Their first hit came in 1966 with Spicks and Specks. It reached #5 on the Australian charts. Then came a string of hits. New York Mining Disaster, To Love Somebody, Holiday, Massachusetts, I've Gotta Get a Message to You, I Started a Joke, and that was the 60s. In the 1970s, they had Lonely Day, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart, Run to Me, Mr. Natural, and then in 75, that album, Main Course, when everything, sound-wise, started to change. Disco was starting to get into their sound. Number 5, Led Zeppelin, a British rock band formed in 1968, known for their hard rock and blues influenced sound. Their hits in 75, well, they weren't really a hits band, but we will say Kashmir and Trampled Underfoot. The album, a double album, one of their best, Physical Graffiti. The members of Led Zeppelin, as if we have to say it, but we will anyway, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham. John Bonham passed away in 1980. Their first album came out in 1969, known for tunes like Good Times, Bad Times, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. That same year, their second album, Led Zeppelin II, came out, with A Whole Lot of Love, a song that's still getting tons of airplay. Led Zeppelin III came out in 1970 with The Immigrant Song and Gallows Pole. Arguably their best album, one of the most monumental albums in rock history, Led Zeppelin IV, with Black Dog, Stairway to Heaven, and Rock and Roll. Houses of the Holy was the follow-up in 1973 with Over the Hills and Far Away and The Ocean. And as mentioned, 1975, Trampled Underfoot was on Physical Graffiti. Again, when people talk about the best Led Zeppelin albums, it's sometimes between Physical Graffiti and Zeppelin IV. Number 4, Paul McCartney and Wings. They were a British rock band formed by that Beatle, Paul McCartney. And the hits in 75 included Listen to What the Man Said. The album was Venus and Mars. The classic version of this group was Paul McCartney, Linda McCartney, Denny Lane, Jimmy McCulloch, and Joe English. Linda McCartney passed away in 1998. Leading up to 1975, McCartney had hits like Mary Had a Little Lamb, Hi Hi Hi, My Love, Live and Let Die, Hell on Wheels. Arguably his best album is Band on the Run, featuring Jet and the title song. And in 75, Listen to What the Man Said from Venus and Mars, Letting Go, and the title song. Number 3, Chicago. They're an American rock band formed in 1967 in, of course, Chicago, known for their horn section blending rock and jazz. The hit in 75 was Old Days from the album Chicago 8. The members, Peter Cetera, Robert Lamb, Terry Kath, James Pankow, Lee Loughnane, Walter Perezader, and Danny Serafin. Terry Kath passed away in 1978. Leading up to 75, Chicago were busy. Their first single, which still gets lots of airplay today, Questions 67 and 68. Interestingly, it wasn't a hit back then. It certainly has become one with the fans since then. That was from Chicago Transit Authority. Beginnings was also on that album. Then came Chicago, their second album. Make Me Smile was a hit from that one, and 25 or 624. Chicago 3 had 2 hits, Free and Lowdown. In 72, Chicago released number 5 with Saturday in the Park and Dialogue Parts 1 and 2. 2 of their strongest singles ever came from Chicago 6, with Feeling Stronger Every Day and Just You and Me. Chicago 7 gave us I've Been Searching So Long and Call on Me and Wishing You Were Here. And Chicago 8, 1975 with Harry Truman and Old Days. Number 2, The Eagles, an American rock band formed in Los Angeles in 1971. Of course, known for their smooth harmonies and country rock sound. The hits in 75, One of These Nights, Lying Eyes, and Take It to the Limit. And the album was One of These Nights. The classic lineup, Don Henley, Glenn Frey, Bernie Leadon, Randy Meisner, and Don Felder. Glenn Frey passed away in 2016, and Randy Meisner in 2023. And leading up to 1975, well, it started for them in 72 with Take It Easy, Witchy Woman, and Peaceful Easy Feeling from the self-titled debut. Desperado featured Tequila Sunrise and Outlaw Man. They had their first number 1 hit with their third album, On the Border, which featured that chart topper, Best of My Love. It also included James Dean and Already Gone. And in 75, One of These Nights was a number 1 song from the album of the same name, followed by Lying Eyes and Take It to the Limit. Number 1, Elton John, a British singer-songwriter who became a global sensation, a global superstar in the 70s. He was known for his flamboyant stage presence and powerful ballads. The hits in 75, Philadelphia Freedom and Someone Saved My Life Tonight. And the album was the autobiographical Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy and Rock of the Westies, which had Elton change the band a little bit to a harder edge group. Leading up to 1975, Elton John had many hits. From his self-titled debut in 1970, which technically was his second album, though his first, Empty Sky, was not released in North America until the mid-70s. So that first album included Your Song, reached number 7. His next singles came from Madman Across the Water with Tiny Dancer and Leave On. That was 1971. Things really started to change with the album Honky Chateau for Elton John, which featured the hits Rocket Man and Honky Cat. In the latter part of 72, he also released Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, which featured Crocodile Rock and Daniel. His first double album was Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, known to many as his best. It always goes back and forth from Captain Fantastic to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road for Elton John. Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting was on that album, as well as the title song, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. There were more big songs on that double album, like Benny and the Jets and Candle in the Wind. In '74, Elton John's big album was Caribou with Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me and The Bitch Is Back. And in '75, his big hits, Philadelphia Freedom, which was not on Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, but Someone Saved My Life Tonight was. And by the end of '75, he had already released another album, Rock of the Westies, as mentioned with the Harder Edge Band. And the first single was Island Girl. And there you have it. The 10 acts that owned 1975, in the US at least. If this video does well, we'll do more in this series. And if enough people ask, we'll do your specific country as well. Remember, share our videos, comment on them, like them, and subscribe to our channel. If you want to help the channel, you can make a PayPal donation. There's a link at the very top of the description. And join our Patreon. You'll get early access to all our videos. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Buff.